Okay, so here's what I'll say about the finale, because it did get leaked. It wasn't as bad as people online made it seem, but it also wasn't super great. If I had to rate it, the finale, it would be like 5.5 out of 10. A 6 if I want to be really generous, but honestly, I think 5.5 is where I would stand on it. Hi guys, welcome back. It's Mex here, and I'm talking about the finale for the amazing digital circus. It is now completed. The final episode is going to be coming out on YouTube in like the next 2 weeks. But I decided I did want to like talk a little bit about my thoughts on the finale, especially because so much happened within the last month of like the film coming out. More specifically about the finale getting leaked. I do want to talk a little bit about the finale getting leaked. Then I'm going to talk about my movie theater experience, and then we're going to talk about the actual episode and what I didn't really like about the final act. So obviously, spoilers. So first things first, let's talk about the leaks itself. If you didn't know, The Amazing Digital Circus was distributed out to a few different theaters, and when it was distributed out, one leaker in Brazil leaked the entire film. Now, when the leaks came out, there were some people who were saying that the leaks were fake, which to me made no sense. It's like, how are you going to like look at that leak and think to yourself, no, that the whole thing is fake? It's like, honey, that's not how animation works, I fear. Like, it would make no sense to make a fake film of all of that. And if they did, I would actually be really pissed off at Gooseworks, because that is so much time and animation and money to do to make a fake ending because you were afraid that a leak would happen. Like, not even Gravity Falls did that shit. When Gravity Falls did that shit where they were like, oh yeah, there might be like an accidental leak, let's make a fake photo. Like, they didn't do a whole like animation. What they did is that they just made like a fake screenshot, put it on a board, and then leaked it themselves so that people weren't willing to leak it. That's what they did. And guess what? Worked out well. So you didn't, yeah, you wouldn't need to make a whole fake film. Like, people were like, it was like genuine copium watching it. I was like, listen guys, I get it, we're upset that it got leaked, but like, let's not pretend like let's not pretend like it's not real. Like, saying that these are like fake leaks, guys, and it's like, fake leaks, this is so very obviously a real leak. I fear like I fear that this is a very obvious leak. But yeah, the reaction, I will say, because the thing is, I think I only saw like a few scenes of the leaks. I never watched the full theater leak. I was just like, I'll wait until it comes out. I was surprised that it actually did show up in my theaters. I was like, damn, when did that happen? I didn't think that they would be releasing it in my theaters because, well, honestly, it's the Caribbean. Like, normally we do not get that shit. Like, my movie theater very rarely brings in like stuff like that. So I was like kind of surprised. But I decided to go and watch it, especially because I had a very, very rough month at work, both in May and now in June. And I'll tell you that at the end, it was going to be a little surprise. Not a fun surprise, but a surprise nonetheless. But when it comes to all the leaks that happened, and I was just like, oh my god, like, I guess I'll go and watch it now and see like what happened. Like, because I was seeing so many people talk about like how bad the ending was and how bad the movie was. I won't lie, I'm noticing a trend when it comes to bad endings. Number one, I think a lot of endings are bad nowadays because too many people are being forced to rush the final product. Because of how capitalism is and how, you know, people are when it comes to media, we want things as quickly as possible. And when it comes to making good art, that's just not the case. You can't just snap your fingers and get good art. You gotta like wait a little bit. And we're so used to like getting it so fast paced and in your face that we can't wait to get more art. And the issue I'm noticing is that a lot of TV shows are suffering from really short run times. Like, the shorter the runtime, the less you're able to explore characters, which is why certain characters' arcs and stories and planning and lore sometimes just doesn't work because you're not given enough time to explore each one. I said that before in my previous video, which unfortunately did not get as many views as I thought it would. But in my previous video, when I talked about the Amazing Digital Circus, I did say that I do think that the Amazing Digital Circus would have really benefited from at least having 2 additional episodes, because it really needed to have something else expanding because of all the plot and symbolism and things that they were putting out. Like, it was obvious that there was supposed to be something more, but because of time constraints, because of Gooseworks saying that they don't want to do filler, which is like, I feel like as an artist, you have to acknowledge that sometimes your work might need a little bit of filler. Like, there's very rare occasions where I could say that like a TV show or series doesn't need to have like a little leeway in between it where we get to like understand the characters and understand where things are going. Like, you kind of need to have like that little, like, you know, refreshing time just so that you can get an idea of like how characters are, how they work, and that's just not really what happened. And I think that's why the finale fell flat. But I think another issue is that a lot of people suffer from happy ending, like people want everything to be a perfect happy ending, and unfortunately that's just not the case. Like, I understand it. I want my characters to live happy too. But sometimes as like an English major, as someone who does writing, you can look at the narrative of a certain piece of art and you can tell that the ending that was come up with was probably the best ending. Like, it wouldn't make any sense to like have everyone get married and have kids and like eat dinner on the weekends every week. Like, no, unfortunately that's just not the case. Like, you can read into the narrative and you can like see that really truthfully, because of this narrative, no one was getting a happy ending. Like, I'm sorry, but from the very beginning of the Amazing Digital Circus, it was pretty obvious that like ain't no one really getting a happy ending. Like, this circumstance that they were in was never going to be, oh, we're gonna escape the circus. Like, I'm sorry, it was so obvious. It was very obvious to me, and I think many other people who write or do English or do these types of narrative analysis, like, we could have seen that coming from a mile ahead. There was no escape ever, especially when the source material was fucking I have no mouth and I must scream. You can't use source material like that and think that the ending was going to be happy dabby. It just was not. But I digress. I do think that this is a big issue that's happening, not just because of like not getting enough runtime. A great example of this is Good Omens, because Good Omens is I love Good Omens. I have the book. I actually do want to do a video about the book because I think there's a lot of things people don't like get when it comes to the books versus the TV shows. It's like a completely different ballgame. But when Good Omens, they just ended last month. They just ended last month. Now, because of what Neil Gaiman did, if you don't know, he was the co-author for Good Omens, and he also made the TV show, because the main author for Good Omens, Terry Pratchett, he unfortunately passed away. I'm pretty sure either during the production of the first season of Good Omens, or I think Good Omens had came out and he unfortunately passed after it came out. I forgot which one it was specifically, but I do know that he passed around the making of the Good Omens show. He passed away in 2016. Very sad and unfortunate. So Neil Gaiman took over for making the show and writing the show. However, Neil Gaiman was convicted of sexual assault and other sexually deviant crimes to his staff and other women as well. Because of this, he was taken off of the show, and so what the production company tried to do was basically make an episode so that we could have a final conclusion for the characters. However, because of everything he did, they couldn't do like a full season like they normally do, which is like around, I would say like 6 to 8 episodes, normally 8 episodes. So they weren't able to do like their 40 to 45 minute 8 episode series like they normally do. They had to basically condense everything that happened in season 2 in season 3 within 1 hour 30 minute movie time. It didn't go well. I did enjoy it. I thought it was nice considering the time constraints. Many people didn't like the ending, and I think many people didn't like the ending is because it didn't have that happy ending of Aziraphale and Crowley ending up together, and I think that's going to be a very big trend that we're going to see soon, where people can't look at the narrative itself. They have to look at the characters and how they want the characters to have a happy ending. When, if the narrative shows the narrative will tell you what type of ending the characters are going to get. The narrative will always tell you what, ending the characters are going to get. You might not like it, but the narrative is going to tell you straight up, like, hey, this is the ending that these characters are going to get. I wasn't shocked with the Good Omens ending. I'm not going to go too much into it. That's going to be for my Good Omens video. But just know, I thought that the ending made perfect narrative sense considering all the themes that were brought up throughout the series. So, getting back on track to the Amazing Digital Circus and talking about that portion of the leaks, let's talk about my movie theater experience. It was so ass. Listen, I have no issue with teenagers watching the show. I have no issue with kids watching the show. Do I think they should? Not fully, but I'm not their parents. But my issue is that a lot of these kids are not being taught proper movie theater etiquette. Like, I don't know what's going on with these parents nowadays where they're just, like, for some reason not teaching their kids where to be considerate and, like, time and place to have certain behaviors and do certain things. And honestly, this isn't even my one bad movie theater experience. This is my second one within, like, week to week. I try to go to the movie theater at least once a week if I'm able to. Like, if there's something I'm interested in, I go like once a week. So I watched 3 movies back to back. First movie is God Is. You should watch it. Great movie, fantastic Southern Gothic vibes. Loved it. It was like a 9 out of 10 for me. Loved it. Really, really did. Thankfully, my movie theater for that movie was basically empty. There was only like 2 people in there, and they were like grown-ass adults. Second movie I watched was I Love Boosters by Boots Riley. Loved the film. Again, another 9 out of 10 movie. Definitely go see it. It's amazing. I watched that movie with my friend Kalea. Me and my friend go to the movies, and we thought that we were going to be by ourselves. We were not. Here's the thing about I Love Boosters. If you haven't watched that film, it is an R-rated film. And it's an R-rated film because there are like, 3 different sex scenes throughout the film. Like, very graphic sex scenes, right? Me and my friend walk into that theater, and there are a bunch of fucking kids. I'm not talking about like teenagers. I'm talking about kids. These are like elementary school kids. The oldest one of them could be is maybe middle school. That is the oldest any of those kids in there could be. And there's like 1 adult in there with them. It was awful. They were so loud, so disruptive. When I say loud, I mean screaming, yelling, turning their fucking flash on with their damn flashlights on their phones, running up and down the stairs, going in and out of the theater, and then there's only the 1 adult, and she's telling them like, hey, shut up, sit down, don't do this, don't do that. She has 1 kid next to her on a fucking tablet, which is like, why are you bringing the kid to the movie with a fucking tablet? It's the movies. It's like the one place where a kid doesn't need a tablet because the tablet is a giant fucking screen. Like you don't need to give the kid a tablet at the fucking movies. It's the fucking movies. What are you giving the kid that for? It doesn't make any sense. And then when the sex scenes came up, of course, these are like young kids who probably have not like gotten any type of sex ed yet. So they're like screaming and yelling and being all ridiculous. And it's like, oh my God. And it's like the one lady's just like, oh, I can't believe this. And it's like, you can't believe this? Lady, it was a rated R film. You can't be mad at anybody but yourself. Listen, I could at least give her like some type of flowers for trying to keep them under control, but still, the kids were out of control. They were screaming, they were yelling, they were really disrupting the movie, and it was really hard to enjoy the movie when you have these loud ass kids and bad ass kids not paying it. I mean, it's not paying attention, but like just overreacting to every single scene because it's a very obviously adult film, and these are very obviously little fucking kids. I think the only reason that this woman like brought her kids into that movie is because it's a predominantly black cast, and many black people, when they see a predominantly black cast, they want to support it, and so they bring their kids in, when really truthfully they shouldn't be bringing their kids in. Now, The Amazing Digital Circus. That was, I don't want to say it was as bad. I would honestly say it was like the same length, if not like a little bit worse, because of the kids that were behind me. So I go to the movies. It's a Thursday. I didn't think it was going to be too packed because it was a Thursday. But then I forgot school is out. Kids got nothing else to do. So, of course, walking to that theater, it is packed with a bunch of teenagers and young kids. I don't have an issue with it. I go to my seat. I have my nachos, my popcorn, and my drink because I had a combo deal. Movie comes on. The kids are acting a damn fool. Like I said, yelling, screaming, on their phone, flashes on. Parents are there but not really doing anything. Don't make no sense to me how you're not telling your kid to be a bit more considerate about the theater. Like, even if other kids are doing it, don't encourage it. Like, you think my mom saw me see other kids do badass shit and then let me continue to do badass shit? No, she blazed my fucking ass. She blazed my damn ass with a damn belt and told me not to do that. Not to be like other kids, and that's embarrassing. That's what's people's issue with this. I'm not telling you to hit your kids, but I'm telling you, don't let your kids follow what other kids do, which I feel like is what a lot of parents are doing now, because they think, oh, well, that other kid's doing it, so ain't no one gonna get on my kid's case because there's another kid doing it too. Like, no, get your kid under control too. Like, it made no sense, and there were these kids behind me, and I don't know if their parents were with them or not. If their parents were, fuck them, because they could obviously see what their kids were doing and for some reason did not even try to like stop them. These kids were the loudest in the entire theater. When I mean loud, I mean so fucking loud. Yelling, screaming, and they're not even talking about the movie. They're talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, and they're talking about stuff that is really not appropriate for kids their age to be talking about. Like, I'm just like, you guys are like 10 to 12 years old. Why are you talking like this? Why do you know about this types of things? You guys need to get off that internet. Y'all need an internet blocker. Your parents need to restrict your access. But just when I think it couldn't get worse, these kids start kicking my fucking seat. I had to. There comes a point in your young adult life where you start to realize you really are not a teenager or a kid anymore. And I put those little boys in their place. I got up and I said, hey, quit it. There's nothing cute about all this yelling and kicking my seat. Stop it before I call someone from security to have you guys talk to. Do you want your parents to come and take you out of the movie because you were kicking people's seats? All of a sudden they stopped. Sometimes them little kids really do need an adult to tell them to stop their behavior. Listen, I was at my wit's end. It's like, listen, the talking and stuff, which was interrupted with me watching the film and like looking at it critically. Listen, that was already enough as is. Kicking my seat is where you fucking got me. We're not on a fucking plane, and you guys are not little ass kids. Like, you're not 6, you're not 7. You're not any of these ages. You guys look like you could be in middle school. You absolutely know better. You have to know better. Your parents have to teach you better than to kick a seat where you can obviously see people in front of you. You would have to know this. It was like so crazy to me. It's like, I think I'm gonna just like try to avoid the movies as much as possible this summer, because it is so obvious that these young kids are not getting the proper etiquette that my mom was giving me. Now that we've completed me rambling about a bunch of unnecessary shit, let's get into the actual finale. Now, first things first, something that I didn't really like just starting off the bat with the show is that it basically starts off, there's 2 sections before we get into the actual movie. The first one is of that fish that we saw in episode 7, and he basically gives like a disclaimer to the audience where he's just like, thank you guys so much for the support, thank you guys for watching the film. You know, he's just like telling you like, okay, turn off your phone, do this, do that, blah blah blah. I don't have an issue with that per se, but it's just like after a while it started to like drag on. It's like, you don't need to Like, the fish just keeps getting more self-deprecating, there's more humor, there's more this, and it's like, it's really not necessary. But then something that really caught my attention is that they were basically saying, like, first they say, oh, no, like, turn off your phone because, you know, we don't want you, like, interrupting anyone's movie-taking experiences, right? Right. But then, the fish says in the same breath, oh, but make sure to have your phone handy because there could be a super special QR code where you can get exclusive merch. And it's like, what? Am I tweaking, or is that like kind of crazy to do? Like, this is already like a theater. This is a movie. You guys are already getting a bit of revenue from us watching this. And you're going to get revenue as well when the episode comes out on YouTube and people watch it on YouTube. Why do you need to add in a QR code in the movie that people are going to scan so that they can buy? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm sure it's like nice and sweet, but to me it's just like, okay, that's a little unnecessary. Like, you need to have a QR code in the film that we have to scan, especially after you just said, oh, well, you know, like, I'm sorry, but it's like, you just said make sure to keep your phone on silent and not to take it out, but do make sure to take it out because of the QR code. Okay, fine, whatever. The second thing that kind of annoyed me was the recap. There was basically, like, I would say a 3 to 5 minute recap of like all of the episodes before episode 8 and 9, and to me that just kind of feels unnecessary. I guess I understand where it comes from because they're probably thinking to themselves like, oh, well, there are parents that don't really watch the show, so maybe we need to give like a quick explanation. But to me it doesn't really make sense because it's like, it's not like it's a Netflix show that took a really long time to get a season finale or something. Like, it's the Amazing Digital Circus. It's called the final act. I know some people will say like this is me being nitpicky, but to me it's just like, why would you need to do a recap? Especially because the fish made a joke saying where it's like, oh, well, you guys should have had everything caught up already. And then Kane also in this recap says, oh, you should have everything caught up already. So it's like, okay, so you guys both know that everything needs to be caught up, so then why are we doing a recap? It makes no sense to do a recap at this point. Everyone who's watching this movie has already watched the source material beforehand. Maybe the only exception is like a few parents who didn't watch the series, but like, let's be honest here, I don't really think they would care that much. They're only there for their fucking kids. Like, let's be honest here, some parents go to watch a kids movie and they don't really care about it being like, oh, a sequel, this, that, or the other. For example, I went to see A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I have not read a single Hunger Games book or watched a single Hunger Games movie. I couldn't get upset that I didn't understand everything, and I can't get upset that the theater didn't want to have a recap of like everything that happens without the story, because obviously it's a movie that takes place where you need to know the original source material before you watch that film. Same thing goes with The Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act. It's called The Last Act. It's the final part of the series. You have a whole recap episode that's really truthfully just padding out runtime. Like, it's just wasting time. It's like, I don't need to be told about a recap. I don't think anyone in this audience needs to be told. Like, everyone in this audience has already watched the episode. Everyone already knows what's going to happen. It's like, you're giving this recap for nothing. Besides, like, maybe, like, 2 people who might have brought their kids in there. But I digress. Getting into the actual episode itself, I have a few issues. Number 1, a lot of things are left unanswered. Like I said, the series would benefit from having longer episodes, either having a longer episode runtime or just having more episodes. Like, I do think there should have been at least one Zubul-centric episode and then one Ragatha-centric episode, because even though they get scenes for themselves, they don't really get like a full episode, as opposed to like Pomni, Kinger, and Gangle. Like, those guys get like their own like fully dedicated episodes, and then Jax got like a whole shit ton of episodes dedicated to him nearing the end. So I kind of feel like that's where I was like not super pleased about stuff. It was just, yeah, like certain things were just like completely left out. Granted, I was right about certain things, wasn't right about everything. The biggest thing was, yes, they were digital scans. However, the way they went about revealing this information was rather... It was a bit lackluster. Like, they literally reveal it, like, within the first 5 minutes of episode 9. Literally. Immediately. They just... Like, Kara just says they were making a brain scan machine. And it seems like Kane got his hands on it. Already? We're 5 minutes into episode 9. 5 minutes and we're already getting confirmation that they're brain scans? Like, I kind of thought there would be a bit more build up to the whole we're actually digital copies, not just like, oh yeah, Kira just says it outright. I thought there might have been like a part where they're trying to like get Kane back and then they find out that they're brain scans or something. I thought that's where the reveal would happen, where they're trying to like get Kane back. The Kane thing is also something that pisses me off, but we'll get there when we get there. But I was just like thinking to myself, really? Already? That's it? Okay. Then when it comes to like the whole like saving the digital surface, it was like I did like the whole like teamwork makes the dream work thing, but at the same time I felt like it was rather simplistic, I suppose. It was like, yeah, you guys are like, you know, trying to fix everything up, but I was kind of like, I guess I thought it would be a bit more action packed, I guess. Like it would be like a lot more action of like, yeah, we're gonna use our powers and we're gonna find Kane, because, you know, a deleted file doesn't get fully deleted. Like, this is just a thing when it comes to coding. When you delete a file from your computer, it's not like fully deleted until like a certain amount of time, because like other code has to like go over it. So I thought it was going to be something like that, where King would basically just be like, well, yes, well, I did delete him. It doesn't mean he's been permanently deleted yet. So I kind of thought it would be them like using like the imagination hacker powers and then trying to find Kane in the void, and that's how we end up like finding out that they're digital scans and stuff. But that's not really what happens. They're just like in the failing digital circuits, and they're trying to like build it and repair it to like make it a bit better for them, more manageable, so they don't fall into the holes. And when it comes to Jax, you know, he lashes out, gets upset, okay, understandable, but his abstraction was so utterly lackluster. It was so horrifically lackluster. I was so surprised. It's like, after so many episodes of building up Jax abstracting, he abstracts off screen. Really? Like, are we serious? You've been building up this man's abstraction for like so many episodes. He has had so many near misses of abstracting, it's not even funny. And then, in the climax, where we're supposed to see him do this big abstraction, it happens completely off screen. Completely off screen. We don't even know how much time has like passed to see how long it's take until like Jax got abstracted. That's what really gets me. We don't even get like an idea of how long it took for him to abstract, or when we got to see him abstract. All we get is like him going up to Pomni while she's fixing something, and he's just like, ugh, never mind, and he turns away. And then Pomni is like, I wish I had talked to him more. And then we just have a jump cut to him in his abstracted form running around while everyone else looks up top on the stairway, like trying to figure out what they can do, because he's gone now. That's it. Like, you that's what 3 episodes of build-up ended up to. 3 episodes of build-up just to get an off-screen abstraction. Like, we didn't even get to, like, see how the actual abstraction, like, happens. Like, what it looks like when the body fully transforms into being abstracted. That's all we got. Now, granted, I did kind of like the whole going into, like, Jackson's mind and, like, understanding and figuring him out a little bit. I'm just a sucker for that type of trope, okay? I just like a trope where we go into a character's mind to understand how their mind and character works more and more. But my issue with, like, Jax is that, I don't know, at some point it's like, could I say that it feels like his character got butchered at some point? Like, I knew he was always supposed to be like the jackass character, like the jackass Tumblr sexy man character, but it's like at some point it kind of felt like even Gooseworks kind of forgot what she was going to be doing with him originally, and then it kind of just switched over to something else entirely. I don't know how best to explain it. It just kind of feels like at some point his character did a complete 180 as to what I think he was supposed to be, and then it was just like. But like going into his mind, it really just makes you think like, damn, this dude is like really a jackass. It's like we already knew he was a jackass, but it's like, Jesus Christ. And at some point it's like we're supposed to feel a little bit bad for him, but it's like, you really don't. You really don't, honestly. It just, like, it was very lackluster. Like, you go to all the different rooms and how he views different people. He tries to choke out Pomni in one room. He flirts with Gangle in another room. And I think he's under this impression that Gangle has a crush on him, which is, like, further from the truth. We see how he treats, like, Ragatha, how he views Ragatha. Then we get to see, like, his relationship with Ribbit. And it's, like, it's a really sweet relationship at first. Like, how him and Kaufmo and Ribbit, like, interact. And him at his first days in the circus. And it's just, it's nice. It was really good to see. And then we get to that point where, and this is where I really just started to hate him. Like, this is where he really just, like, becomes, like, this awful asshole character. So, we get to a scene. We're in Ribbit's room. Beautiful room. Love the animation. It was really good. So, Ribbit opens up about her past. So then she's like, hey, open up a little bit about yourself. She's not asking for anything crazy. So he does. Now, Jax basically explains how his dad left. When his dad left, his mother would pick on him. Then, him and his mom had a really bad fight. In the middle of that fight, I guess his mother, like, kind of realized what she was doing and was like, man, I shouldn't be screaming at my child. So she goes over to hug him. Jax is so shocked by this hug from his mother that he shoves her off of him. And she ends up hitting her head so hard she doesn't get up. Jax does not call the police. He does not call 911. He doesn't even go and check on her. He just runs. And then he ends up being homeless for a certain amount of time. And it's like, it's an interesting backstory, but it's also like, damn, dude. What happened? Like, and it's like, okay. And it's like, it was good to, like, get that off his chest. And then you kind of, like, see them getting closer and closer. And this is where things hit the fan. Because all Kaufmo does is he knocks on the door. It's not like Kaufmo opened the door and saw them talking or heard them talking. He just knocked on the door and he was just like, oh, hey, are you guys in there? And then it doesn't even seem like he heard anything. He was just, like, asking a question. Jax immediately gets up because Ribbit put her bow in his, like, ears or something. Takes it off, throws it on the ground, and then gets all weird about it and starts, like, screaming and yelling. And then after that, he's just like, oh, why am I being so stupid about it? You would think that's the end of it. But no, he now starts purposefully ignoring Ribbit. He tells Kaufmo not to, like, question Ribbit, and if Ribbit says anything about him that it's not true. And then Kaufmo's just like, okay, what the fuck is going on with you two? Even Ragatha notices it. Like, it was like a complete 180. Like, you see how, like, fun the digital circus was before Jax went on his whole asshole arc. And then after he goes on his asshole arc, how, like, everyone, like, just starts to get more annoyed and sad and unhappy. And, like, you low-key start realizing that most of the abstractions afterwards are, like, mainly his fault. Like, him pushing away Ribbit and Kaufmo caused him to abstract. He could have almost caused Ragatha to extract. He just started bullying Gangle the minute she got there. And even Kaufman, like, looked at him, like, weird. Like, why are you automatically just bullying her off the bat? Like, that's weird as hell. And we get to see, like, him have this big fight with Ribbit. And it's like, he is just, oh my god. It gets so annoying. It's like you're watching him fight with her. And it's like, what the fuck are you fighting with her for? It makes no sense. Like, literally, it's like, yes, you have trauma. Yes, you had a rough life. But it's like, this isn't even like a circumstance where I could at the very least say where he opened up and that, you know, Kaufman was there and he heard everything. It's like, no, Kaufman didn't even open the fucking door. Kaufman knocked on the door and just asked if like anyone was in there. He didn't hear anything. He didn't know what happened. So it's like, he's acting this way over something that nobody else but Ribbit knew. And Ribbit wasn't going to tell anyone to begin with. And then he caused her to abstract. They got into a huge fight, and then after that fight, completely abstract. Isolated her from everybody else. And then she abstracted. And then when Kaufmo tries to be like nice about it, and he's just like, listen, I know you and Ribbit used to be great friends. And I know that you guys started having your issues, but I'm here to talk about it. And he's just like, oh, do I look like someone who needs to talk about it? Like, damn. God forbid Kaufman was just trying to be a little fucking nice. Like, it was just like, damn. Like, at some point, like, I knew that she did talk about, like, oh, yeah, Jax deserves to be in the circus the most compared to everybody else. I get that. And I want to go into an expansion about that as well when it comes to, like, the actual digital circus. But continuing on with the rest of, like, the whole, you know, being in Jax's mind and stuff like that, what really got me was that montage and the song that they picked. I don't have an issue with the montage itself. It's just that the song that they picked was very weird. It's like, they picked the song Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder, and it's like, why did you pick that song? It's a good song, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's also like, why'd you pick that song? I feel like there were like a few other songs that could have been picked. And it really gets me too, because it's like, to use that song, they would have had to pay licensing fees. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, they had to have paid a fee for that song. That song is not cheap to get. I can actually check right now. I will honestly check right now how much it would take to, like, license Isn't She Love Me? Because that song played for, I think, like, a minute or two for that sequence. So, let me see just how much it would have cost them to do the licensing to put that song in. Because the thing about, like, popular songs like that, especially from, like, really big artists, is that you have to, like, pay a licensing fee. So for them to have put that in the movie, and I'm sure they're going to put that in the YouTube video as well, they had to have paid copyright fees. So I need to figure out how much they paid, because depending on how much they paid, they could have either just used the instrumental or honestly come up with their own music. I really don't know why they picked Isn't She Love Me, because it really doesn't fit with the relationship that Pomni and Jax had, and it also doesn't really match, like, the vibes completely. It was kind of like, it would have made more sense if y'all just made your own song, because you guys make your own music all the time. Or you could have had, like, one of the fan songists do it, like, one of the more fan art songs do it, but I digress. Let me go and check really quick how much they would have had to pay. Okay, so after doing a lot of scrolling and research, it was kind of hard to come up with something definitive. So here's the thing. When you use, like, big songs like that, for example, Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder, there's licensing fees. You have to pay licensing fees. It's not like TikTok. TikTok's a completely different thing, because they already use, like, a certain company that just pays for those licensing fees. And then it kind of works as, like, free promotional stuff. It's why on YouTube, you get copyright strike because you didn't get express permission to use those clips or to use that music. And many artists are super strict about the songs that can be used. Some artists are chill and they'll make it so that you can use it without having to worry about copyright. But the artists that do that, once they detect their music is being used without their permission, like you did not pay to use that music, oh, your ass getting fined. If you're not getting fined, then you're just, you know, you're going to be asked to, like, take out the clip and then upload the video again. It depends on, like, how many times you've done it. Now, with the Amazing Digital Circus, and this being a theatrical music release, and then also releasing on YouTube, it makes me question just how much money they're going to have to pay. Because here's the thing. If Glitch Studios was, like, a big movie studio, we're talking $20,000 to $100,000. Depending on how long that the song is used. So $20,000 at minimum if they were like a minor studio. Now, here's the thing. I mean, a major studio. Now, here's the thing. Since Glitch is like an indie, independent film animation plays, they can actually negotiate a deal with wanting to use that type of music. It can be anywhere between $500 to $5,000. However, keep in mind that depending on the song, there are sometimes restrictions. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what type of restrictions? Sometimes you're paying a certain amount for each second the song is playing. So, for example, like I said, I think the montage segment probably lasted anywhere between 1 minute to like maybe 2 minutes. So let's say it went up for 2 minutes, right? So let's say base price $1,000 per second the song is played. That would be $12,000 for that sequence. And that's like, if they were able to negotiate something. I don't know what type of negotiation that they would have to make. Like, it's not like a very simple catch-all be-all. For them to have used that song, they were shelling out thousands of dollars. Which I'm surprised that they just allowed Gooseworks to do. Like, I guess they must have had the extra cash for it, but I don't know what deal they negotiated. But those licensing fees are not a joke. Those licensing fees are always going to get you. They cost a lot of money. If you ever think to yourself, how is it $1 million budget? It's shit like that gets you $1 million budgets. Them shits are not expensive. And that's why you see a lot of the time movies and TV shows will use their own score, because it is much cheaper using your own score than trying to pay for the licensing for some of them songs. If you've ever wondered, oh yeah, like why do movies like use their own scores instead of just using like songs? That's why. That is exactly why. So yeah, I'm so surprised that Gooseworks used Isn't She Lovely, because that costs so much money. Now, moving away from Jax, let's get into Kane. Kane was so lackluster in this finale, it was ridiculous. You would think for the character that is like kind of supposed to act as like an antagonist or deuteragonist, that he would have more of like screen time, but it's like he didn't. There was no like scene where the characters try to get to him or try to snap him out of it. It's just like, I guess he comes to his own self-realization, which I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's just really lackluster, where he basically doesn't show up for like the entire first part of the show, and then he doesn't show up until like nearing the very end, and then he gets like maybe 2 to 3 minutes of him like overcoming obstacles so that he can get out there and get back to our cast and crew. And then he finds a way to like log on to the internet, and then he's able to like see all their identities. And I thought it was nice that we got to see their identities and we got to understand them, and then we fix up the circus so that it's actually good for humans who get trapped in there. Like, he actually listens to their ideas now, and I thought that was nice. I think it was a decent ending, but with everything else that happened so far, it just does not make it satisfactory. Like, I think I would have enjoyed it more if we did get some expansion on some other things. For example, why did they make the brain scan? Like, we don't really get that explanation. We know that it was supposed to be a generative AI. Like, we know that the AI that Kane was created for was supposed to be a generative one. However, we don't know why specifically they were going through with that. Like, how were they able to get the technology for a type of brain scanning technology? How was that approved? How much energy did that take? Not to mention, what is keeping the computer running at this point? If the building is abandoned, it's not getting any power, how is the headset still working? It's not like when Ragatha was there, because Ragatha's a real estate agent. She would probably help sell the building, or maybe the building fell through or something like that. I'm a little sad that my little theory didn't pan out, where basically once you put on the headset, it just like, because it takes way too much energy to scan a person's brain, to the point where it's like either the computer is going to short circuit or the person is going to short circuit. So I'm a little disappointed that my super gothic, graphic, gory image didn't end up being the case, but I wasn't the one that wrote the show. But yeah, I was just thinking to myself, like, we've left so many questions unanswered. Like, so many. Bubble, the blue AI. We don't really even get to see like an expansion of like what it was like creating Kane. I thought that we would at least get at some point like an episode where we reference the actual office and get to see like a few of the characters like talking about, you know, making Kane, or getting to see the process of them make Kane, not just like the blue ball thing. Even the blue AI thing was like kind of really glossed over. It seems as if Kane is fighting against the blue AI. So it's like Kane is like the, I wouldn't say he's nice, but it does seem as if he's the nicer one. And so when he, it seems like the blue one is way more antagonistic and is more likely to terrorize the humans, because when Kane is in his little like timeout corner, you know, he's there and he's just like, I can't believe I did this. I messed everything up. And then the blue AI like hijacks him and he's just like, humans suck, I hate humans. And then when Kane separates the blue AI from himself, it's like he's better now. He's not as angry and easily like emotional. So it's like, it almost seems as if the blue dot was way more aggressive against humans, which I think was an interesting concept that they just really didn't expand more into. But oh well, I guess we can't be too mad. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the finale. I thought it was kind of mid. But I will say, I do think people were like way over dramatic online about like how bad it was. It wasn't as bad as you thought it was. It was just mid. It was a 5.5. Maybe even just a regular 5. That's just what it was. And now for my surprise news that I told you about. I got laid off. Yeah. Today. Earlier today. So my job, I work at a mortgage call center. You can expect a fun little video of me talking about why you should never work at a call center unless you're really, really desperate. But my job was at a call center for mortgages. I started back in May of last year, which means I only got to work at this company for a year until they basically decided to just cut our office. That's what they did. So basically, what they explained to us in the meeting today, that's how we all knew, because they were like, oh yeah, head of HR is coming down. And it's like, no, why the fuck would head of HR be coming down for a meeting if it wasn't mass layoffs? Like trying to say, oh, it's not layoffs, it's not layoffs. Bitch, just admit that it's layoffs. Like, just admit that it's layoffs. That's what it was. Like, you don't bring the head of HR in to a bunch of people for like an emergency meeting if it's not because you're laying people off. Like, I'm sorry, like there's no other explanation. But either way, they're saying that basically they expanded too much as a company. So they expanded too much, making an office where I live, and now they're decreasing. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point that company just either goes bankrupt or they're not able to sustain any workers anymore, because I won't lie to you, they do some really shady stuff with their customers, and there's been a lot of lawsuits. In fact, they very recently changed their name, and I wouldn't be surprised if they changed their name because of the lawsuit. And they changed their name a lot. I've had so many customers that tell me how they've been with us for a while, and they're just like, you guys have changed your name like 3 separate times in less than 10 years. And I'm like, yeah, that's suspicious. No company changes their name that much if not for doing something suspicious. Like, think about it, not even banks change their fucking name that much or do mergers that fucking often. Like, that's weird shit. But yeah, they said that they expanded too much. Now they're, reducing back, and because we're the smallest office, we're the ones that got the cut. So yeah, I mean, I'm not super heartbroken, but I'm also not super happy, so I might end up going to North Carolina. Also, in other bad news, I won't be able to go to England because a bunch of other stuff came up, and my family just made me so paranoid about like student loans and getting into student loan debt and this, that, and the other. So I just ended up backing out about going to school in England. So I won't be going to school in England either. So lost my job, not going to England. rough week. Months, really, truthfully. So, it's how it is. We'll have to accept it. But technically, my final day won't be until September 4th. That's going to be my final day well, I guess not in office, but working, like my last official working day. And then after that, I'll be unemployed. But I won't lie, I'm a little bitter too, because it's just like, since they were closing down the office completely, they had to give us a 90-day notice. So it's kind of like, you laid me off, and now I still gotta work. Like, thankfully, I have tomorrow off, but I have to work this Saturday, and it's just like, on the one hand, I'm grateful. It's like, you know, not a lot of people get laid off and get to, like, work for a little bit of time. Like, you know, it gives you 90 days to, like, try and find another job. But on the other hand, it's like, I feel bitter. It's like, I gotta answer these people's dumbass calls for the next 90 days, pretending as if I'm not gonna lose my job. And then you guys are still giving us occurrences. Like, y'all are still just like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I know that we, like, laid you off and stuff. But, you know, if you do still clock in a minute late, you are gonna get occurrences. And we don't want you to, like, get fired before we lay you off. Which is like, how the fuck are you... How are you going to fire me when you already have technically laid me off? Seriously? like, are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Like, are you guys hearing how crazy that sounds? Really? So if I still end up, like, you know, clocking in a minute late, because if you clock in a minute late, you get an occurrence. So I could still get an occurrence, which means I could still, same thing with sick days too. So it's like, if I get sick in these 90 days and I'm not able to, like, you know, put in a day in advance, that gets an occurrence. If I get too many occurrences, fired with cause, which means I don't get my severance. Have y'all ever heard such bull and gnar in the same time? How do you fire someone that you've already technically laid off? I'm getting laid off. I just get a 90-day notice. But you know what? Not many people get the 90-day notice. Some people, they clock in one day, don't realize that they're getting fired, and then they get fired. And they don't even get any time to, like, you know, recoup everything. They just get fired off the bat. So technically, I got off really lucky. As someone, this is my first time being laid off. I'm 22. So I guess it's like a good place, but at the same time, I'm mad as hell. Like, I'm really supposed to continue working as if I'm not being laid off. Like, after doing all this work, I'm getting laid off. Like, it's nothing. So yeah, expect more YouTube videos from me. A lot of them are probably going to be more commentary videos because I'm doing a lot of reading and stuff, and yeah, just lots is happening. So, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. If you do subscribe and I'm able to make it to 15,000 subscribers before I finish my book, then you guys get to pick what character I cosplay for my author's photo. Isn't that a fun incentive? Yay! Also, read the concepts of my original story of my 2 OCs. I'll have the link in my bio. So thanks. Have a great night.